Whenever we communicate with others in our lives, in our jobs or on the internet, sometimes we see eye to eye and sometimes not so much. We might get agreement, love, and appreciation and acknowledgement for our efforts, and other times we get what feels like the exact opposite. What I've learned is that how we think about and respond in these situations or to difficult people that come into our lives can make a world of difference for our own sanity and can even have surprising effects in helping others along the way. So let's talk about that. Hey everyone, I'm Elizabeth from DesignerUp, helping you become a more skillful and mindful designer. When you've worked in tech, especially as a woman of color for as long as I have, and when you make content online, sometimes you get comments like these. So what is the point of being a UI designer if you just mindlessly copy elements from other design systems? I understand the rules and how consistency is important, but if everything is laid out to you on a plate, don't you think that this defeats the purpose of being a visual UI designer? Or is the job evolved to Lego block assembler now? Stay tuned to the end to see how I replied to this comment. Even though this comment might seem kind of jarring and even rude at first, it's been my experience that many comments and conversations like this present a real opportunity to connect more deeply with people, if you're willing to look at it differently and learn new ways to respond. It's easy to just make the blanket assumption that people on the internet or at work are mean or stupid or pass judgments against them, and sometimes there are people that intentionally or unintentionally express themselves in really unhealthy ways. But when I'm able to, I prefer to see them as a gift and a chance to practice my empathy as a designer, my personal values of mindfulness and nonviolent communication, and compassion. As psychologist Adam Grant puts it, I am who I am isn't a justification for treating people poorly. We all have multiple selves. It's up to you to decide which elements of your identity and personality show up. If you didn't consider the interests of others, you didn't bring the best version of yourself. Being empathetic doesn't necessarily mean we agree with the other person or that we have to change who we are to appease them. It's just about knowing that there are others that may have a different experience or understanding about things than we do, and that we have choices about how we see them and the stories that we tell about them and how we respond to them. It helps to go into any conversation with the right intention, and that can be achieved with the help of mindfulness. To make it simple, I've broken down this communication method into an acronym that you can easily remember the next time someone rubs you the wrong way. I call it NAEBER, inspired by the self-compassion exercises of the great Tara Brach's Rain. NAEBER, pronounced neighbor, is a way for us to look at the offender not as the other, but as more of an acquaintance. Here's what NAEBER stands for. N is for notice. Notice and recognize what's going on. Look at what's being said or written objectively without judging it. A is for acknowledgement. Acknowledge the experience that you're having and any feelings and emotions that come up surrounding it. E is for empathize. Imagine what it must be like to be in their shoes and what factors might have made them respond the way that they did. B is for break. Take a moment and breathe. Give the situation time to settle. Take all the time that you need. R is for respond. This is where you have the choice to forgive and let it go, politely decline, or simply craft a response that is not being colored by your own perceptions and emotions. So let's see how this might work with a supervisor or a colleague. Your boss or colleague says, "I don't think that's the direction we want to go in with these designs." Your first thought and reaction might be, "This person is a jerk. They never take me seriously. I'm terrible at my job. I don't know why they can't see how important this work is. I'm gonna get fired." And any mix of blame, anger, judgment, and giving up. This leads us down all sorts of paths of less than useful thoughts, actions, beliefs, and story creation. We might end up disqualifying ourselves or getting so nervous that we mess up or come across as not confident even when we are. We might get upset and say something we don't mean, or not say anything or do anything at all when we should speak up. But if we take a minute to think about them as our neighbor and set our intention, we might approach it like this. Your boss or colleague says, "I don't think that's the direction we want to go in with these designs." Now we can apply the NAEBER method. Notice, this person is saying words. Acknowledge. I feel hurt by these words, and it makes me think that I'm an imposter. I feel fearful about my job security. Empathize. They must be under a lot of pressure themselves and have a lot of other factors that are driving their decisions. It's not entirely up to them, and it's not entirely about me. As a matter of fact, I'm mostly good at what I do, and I like my position here. Or maybe I don't like my position here anymore. Break. Take a deep breath, give yourself space to think and process. Maybe step out of the room, go for a walk, or revisit it the next day or the next week. Respond. Now you can decide what would be the most helpful thing for you. You could write an email saying, I'd like to know how I could be a more valuable player and focus on the right things and contribute in a more effective way. Would you have a few minutes to spare to help me grow today? Or you might realize that this isn't a situation you want to be in or a person that you want to be around. And you can talk openly and honestly about your feelings around your treatment and move on to another position or department. Mindfulness and empathy towards others and ourselves helps us get out of a defensive or fearful stance by putting ourselves in a curious and observational mindset. It also allows us to see opportunities that are hard for us to see when we're in that fight or flight state of mind, or help us get out of an unhealthy situation that no longer serves us. Here is an example of how I responded after using the NAEBER method and providing a very detailed and objective and calm response that just says my point of view without passing judgment on the commenter. It's important to understand how a UI designer fits into the overall product design system, and organization. While someone else's design system can help you understand the underlying principles of component design and best usability practice, it does not show you how to apply it to your own product, users, or team. The point of being a UI designer, at least in user-centered companies, is to have the ability to create a user interface that helps achieve product market fit, and to collaborate better and more efficiently with others, or to be a creator, contributor, or maintainer of a design system at an organization that has already successfully done this at scale. The role of a UI designer has certainly evolved, and while some designers might see it as building with Legos, I believe that with constraint comes great opportunity for creativity and innovation. So in my experience, this is just the tip of what a UI designer can do. My neighbor replied, "Thank you so much for your reply. You are right indeed, and I appreciate your time in reading and replying to my comment." It's not an easy practice, but as designers, we're pretty good at practicing our craft, and empathy and good communication are central to that. So the next time someone rubs you the wrong way, think of them as your neighbor. You might be surprised at what unfolds. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more. I'll be back again with more soon.